Hello and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today I've been working on a few watercolor studies that are smaller in nature. Here I have a 5x7 that I cropped down to approximately 3x7. It is the Hot Press New York Central pad, 140 pound. Now, I have a mismatch, a whole bunch, I think it's like 52 paints that I laid out, just so I can kind of see which ones I gravitate towards and which ones I move away from as I explore this approach of painting and just develop different techniques for me to use. This one will be imaginary scene. I'll be using that quill brush from the See Me Art, which was about $3 on Temu, and it really works well for what I'm working for. I'll probably introduce this oil brush again for stippling trees, and I've been really struggling with the rigor lately, so we'll see if I can get very small defined lines with that. So that being said, I think I want to start this off with an earth brown, the Goethite from Daniel Smith, and I will move that so it doesn't noise the whole time. And I'll put my horizon in and start getting ideas of how I want to lay this painting out. I have been doing a lot of the same concept of scene lately, especially within oils, where I have that horizon line in place, and then I put some trees in that fashion, very similar to Dennis Sheehan, which is then very similar to J.F. Murphy from the 1800s. So I'm drawing a lot compositionally from the oil painting masters, both contemporary and historically. I'm also looking at a lot of the more idealized scenes of the Hudson River Valley movement and other contemporaries throughout the world. So really stuck in the 1800s with what I'm looking at and exploring. I'm going to switch gears to a different color. Let's look Naples yellow for the sky. Okay. So this Naples yellow is Daniel Smith. Oh, and of course you're always welcome to follow along. You have my express permission to sign your own name, and you have my express permission to sell anything you do when you follow along. I want you guys to have fun and have money for art supplies. If you want to support this channel, I have the Patreon link down below. Tons of exclusive content, and thank you to everybody that supports the channel from there. I use all that money to purchase more art supplies. Okay, now that that's out the way, Naples yellow kind of just gradiated to, let's see. I'm looking at ultramarine and the brown earth combinations, looking for the grays there. I'll do it with the goethite and see what we can develop from there. Now, I am doing a little bit of mixing on the palette. I'm tending to prefer mixing on the paper itself. However, when you start mixing on the paper itself, you start getting issues with different concentrations of water, and the different concentrations of water can then cause some cauliflower effects. So one way to do that and to be vigilant about it would be pulling moisture out of the brush at the base. So if you see me doing that, that's the purpose there. So traditionally, you probably see me use a lot of the Hake brush. And the Hake brush is totally usable on this scale, but it does get a little tedious. I had painted 5x7s with the smaller Hake brush years ago. Okay. Now I want to strengthen my pigment. I'm going to grab Van Dyke Brown. That's been kind of a go-to lately with these experiments. It's a really nice dark, at least the Daniel Smith is. And I think the Daniel Smith is just all like a PBR7, like a earth brown. While other brands of Van Dyke are more like a burnt umbery, potentially. Now, one thing that I'm attempting to do, is put more texture in this initial layer, as if I was just painting my traditional tonalist paintings, where then when I glaze on top of it, there's a lot more variety instead of just a flat color. I think I'm going to grab, let's see, let's go with yellow ochre. And I'm reconstituting from the dry pans. I want that in. We wouldn't quite see a distant field here. We might catch just a small glimmer of it, and we would see the tree line on top of that. So let's look for a distant tree line. That being said, let's explore ultramarine, Venetian red. I'm going to wipe this palette out and make room for more paint. Let's see how that's looking. This is most likely going to be hidden by more objects in the foreground, or the midground, sorry. But just putting that there, as that really gives a little bit extra sense of depth. Okay. And let's bring some of these colors down into some water. Grabbing some more Van Dyke Brown. Looking for a little dry brush here. Now, with the dry brush, since I'm using hot press paper, I think that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to get those textures in place, since you don't have the tooth of the paper, that it's not really very pronounced to grab the ends of things. You can get some there. This land is very flat going across. Let's get a little bit of undulation movement up and down there. Let's bring that in front. Let's bring a strong foreground in front too. Crop that in. Now, the whole painting's still wet, but I think we'd benefit from going in and putting a little bit of the trees in now. Actually, let's hold off from that. Let's do a dry off and kind of establish our sky more. So I've been using this little cheap and easy trick with the sky in the far background, where I've just been taking a little bit of whitewash and glazing it over everything. This I've seen in oil painting videos where going over a dry painting in this fashion was used to create a sense of an atmospheric effect. It does give a different effect than painting with a highly diluted bit of paint, so it does look different than that. And while we're at it, let's grab gamboge. Just let it intermingle. Experiment with glazing on top of the whitewash and directly into it. Then of course, you're going to take that and put it down into whatever type of water that we have. Still haven't really figured and mapped that out yet. Too much paint. Just looking for some glowing effects. And if we want to, grab some Prussian blue. Just a smidge. A little too green in the sky, but there we go. And you can really increase the saturation here. And I can bring that down over the background trees too, and onto that background field. Just introduce that vibe throughout. Okay. Now would be a good time for a dry off and to look at the trees. Okay. Now, looking at this tree line, I'm going to grab some of that brown earth, the goethite, brown ochre. Okay. I'm going to grab some Van Dyke brown. And I'm attempting to apply it pretty heavily. It is going to lighten up a bit, and we're going to have to do a few explorations in there. It's interesting how that and the brown earth is interacting. I'll grab a little bit of black just to compare. The black is a little bit cooler on the bluer side of things. And that's the lunar black, it looks like. Now for this size, I don't think I'll really need to use the oil brush for stippling. But I'm going to keep that handy just in case. let's move away from that tree line and let's explore this edge. Now, because it has these kind of a hatching taking place on that angle, kind of gives it a rise feel to it. Let's see what we can do there and bring some shadows down. And I want to cut it off and make that foreground here. Okay. Naples yellow. Search out some texture. This is the gamboge. I'm looking for that throughout. Catch the edge of the foliage. Gradiate that up a little bit. Grab a little bit of water. I really don't want harsh edges. Once again, looking for texture. Let's do a dry off. All right, I'm gonna grab the number 1 and I'm gonna wet some areas here. Just kind of lift out little ideas of clouds. So just wetting pulling stuff out. Let's see if we can get even lighter here. We can pull out some of these ideas in the water. The number 1 really helps get some small applications for this. Let's see how light we can get it. Okay. Very interesting. I'll grab some Van Dyke brown. But I think I want to also mix an earth red into it. Let's look at the Venetian red and Van Dyke, Venetian. Just trying to mix a strong mix. and see what we can do with the shadows. Push the pad a little bit. Bring a little bit of foliage and other objects up. Reflections and movement. Okay. Let's also grab this dark. Look and see what we can do along this water edge. Let's use the back of the brush just to see what marks we can put in. Then we have this crisp edge right here. Not quite crisp. Let's leave it loose like that. All right, I want to dry off and see how much contrast we have. All right, now I'm gonna clean the brush off, and I'm gonna grab Quin Gold and look to add more warmth. Too much water. All right, I think I'm going to stop the video here. I'm going to do the rest of it off camera. But there's the bare bones of it, and I hope that it's helpful or inspiring or whatnot. Once again, please like, subscribe, follow, and I will see you all soon. Take care and have a great day.